Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Welcome back to the channel. I thought I'd do another little author spotlight, a little shelf highlight as a way to very slowly do a sort of library tour. Everyone, show and tell. And I thought I'd just spotlight my Neil Gaiman collection today. He's one of my favorite authors, and I've got a few of his books. Got a little handful of his books. So let's talk about them. First up, of course, we've got American Gods. I've got 2 copies of American Gods. I got an old beat-up paperback, and a recent one I picked up on sale somewhere is just the 10th anniversary hardback edition of it. And just to have it because I wanted it, because this is one of my all-time favorite books ever, and I just wanted a nice hardback of it. And I love American Gods, and so here, let's just read the back here for you in case you're not familiar with it. Shadow is a man in the past, but now he wants nothing more than to live a quiet life with his wife and stay out of trouble, until he learns that she's been killed in a terrible accident. So flying home for the funeral as a violent storm rocks the plane, a strange man in the seat next to him introduces himself. The man calls himself Mr. Wednesday, and he knows more about Shadow than is possible. He warns Shadow that a far bigger storm is coming, and from that moment on, nothing will ever be the same. I love this book. It's so good. Pardon my sneeze. And I love that book. Yeah. If you have not read American Gods yet, you do yourself a favor. It's so good. I, of course, have Good Omens. I've not read Good Omens yet, though. I know. It's a shame. I know. But it just sounds zany. I don't really know why I haven't read it yet. It's just one of those books I keep putting off. But so, according to the Nice and Accurate Prophecies of Agnes Nutter, which the world's only completely accurate book of prophecies written in 1655 before she exploded, the world will end on a Saturday. Next Saturday. In fact, just before dinner. So the armies of good and evil are amassing. Atlantis is rising. Frogs are falling. Timbers are flaring. Everything appears to be going according to divine plan. Except a somewhat fussy angel and a fast-living demon, both of whom have lived amongst Earth's mortals since the beginning, have grown rather fond of the lifestyle. They're not actually looking forward to the upcoming rapture. And someone seems to have misplaced the Antichrist. It sounds like zany madcap fun. And I need to get to that. I don't know why. I don't know, okay? Actually, another one I haven't read yet is the Graveyard Book. I don't know why I've not read this either. This one is, I think, a middle grade story. I did read a short story collection. He's got M is for Magic. I don't own it, but I've read it. That has a story related to the Graveyard Book in it. I remember. So I think maybe this just sort of explores further that short story. Yeah, so let's see the Graveyard Book. It takes a graveyard to raise a child. Nobody Owens, known as Bod, is a normal boy. He would be completely normal if he didn't live in a graveyard, being raised by ghosts, with a guardian who belongs to neither the world of the living nor the dead. There are adventures in the graveyard for a boy, an ancient indigo man, a gateway to the abandoned city of souls, the strange and terrible Sleer. But if Bod leaves the graveyard, he will be in danger from the man Jack, who has already killed Bod's family. Sounds so good. Why am I? Anyway, not read it. And of course, it has really fun illustrations by David McKeon, who illustrates a lot of things for Neil Gaiman. That's another one. Oh, this looks good. Look at that. Yeah. I gotta get to this for sure. The Graveyard Book. Another one. Coraline. I love Coraline, of course. I've read this one several times. The little girl Coraline who goes through the little door in her house and sees a world much a mirror image of her own, but things are a little different. We have the other mother, who is, I think, one of the most terrifying characters in a book, and things just are not what they seem. Of course, some more awesome illustrations by Dave McKean. Let's find us another one. Ooh, look at this one. Terrifying. So yeah, I love Neil Gaiman writes books for everyone. He's got children's books, middle grade books, YA books, adult books. He's got graphic novels, and he's got everything. And I love that about him. So Coraline, of course, is a fave. And you may notice on my shelf I have this little Coraline doll. Now she's more from the movie version of Coraline, the little doll that is in the movie. I used to do a lot of crafting swaps off a site called Craftster years and years ago, and I got this. We did a Coraline themed craft swap, and this is one of the things I got. It's a lovely clay with fabric overlay. Yeah, wonderful faces. I love it. I love her. So, side tangent. I have Stardust. Stardust is one I have not read yet from him either, and I need to. I do remember watching this movie though. I remember really loving the movie. But yeah, so Stardust. Young Tristan Thorne will do anything to win the cold heart of beautiful Victoria. Even fetch her the star they watch fall from the sky. But to do so, you must enter the unexplored lands on the other side of the ancient wall that gives their tiny village its name. Beyond that old stone wall, Tristran learns lies fairy, where nothing, not even a fallen star, is what he imagined. Comes a remarkable quest into the dark and miraculous in pursuit of love and the utterly impossible. I think this is definitely a sort of a fairy tale type story. Yeah, I need to get to this one. I need to get to this one for sure. Let's see. I have The Ocean at the End of the Lane. Last year, I think, I purchased this really lovely illustrated edition. This is one of my favorite books too. I love this book so much. So it doesn't really have a blurb that I can read, and we'll read here. This is what he remembers as he sits by the ocean at the end of the lane. A dead man on the backseat of the car, warm milk at the farmhouse, an ancient little girl, and an old woman who saw the moon being made, a beautiful housekeeper with a monstrous smile, and dark forces woken that were best left undisturbed. They are memories hard to believe, waiting at the edges of things, the recollections of a man who thought he was lost but is now perhaps remembering a time when he was saved. And it's so good. It follows a man who goes back home for a funeral, and he starts remembering things about his childhood home and this family that lived kind of next door at this old farmhouse. It's super, for me, it's got some very spooky scenes in this, and it's kind of terrifying. Some people maybe would call it fantasy. I think it means kind of more horror. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But I love this beautifully illustrated edition that I have. The illustrations are by Elise Hurst, and they're so good. Look at this. So good. I love this copy. Let's see. This was a thrift store find from what I remember. It's Fragile Things, and this is a short story collection. Excuse me. I love the book itself. It's got this sort of vellum cover, and then you see underneath the images, and then they sort of poke through. Like I said, this vellum cover, quite lovely. It even has this lovely turquoise on the inside. So let's see here. We've got maybe about 15-ish. Well, actually more. So it's maybe, there's maybe 20-ish stories in here. So it's a decent sized collection for sure. So let's see. A mysterious circus terrifies an audience for one extraordinary performance before disappearing into the night, taking one of the spectators along with it. In a novella set 2 years after the events of American Gods, Shadow pays a visit to an ancient Scottish mansion and finds himself trapped in a game of murdering monsters. Okay, so I need to read that one. In a Hugo Award-winning short story set in a strangely altered Victorian England, the great detective Sherlock Holmes must solve a most unsettling royal murder. 2 teenage boys crash a party and meet the girl of their dreams and nightmares. That one I feel like I read already. I bet I read that one in M is for Magic. I wonder. We'll just go from there. There's a lot of things in here. Looks like we've got some illustrations as well. Or at least that one at the beginning. So I need to put this definitely onto my pile of short story collections to work my way through. Some of these seem like some stories I may have read somewhere. The one about the party sounds very familiar. I think I read that in M is for Magic, but that novella, American Gods novella, though, I definitely need to get to that one. Alright, what else have I got? I've got, I think I'm missing one. It's still up here. I left it up there. I've got Neverwhere. I really liked Neverwhere. I thought this one was really good. So we have Richard Mayhew as a young man with a good heart and an ordinary life, which is changed forever when he stops to help a girl he finds bleeding on a London sidewalk. His small act of kindness propels him into a world he never dreamed existed. There are people who fall through the cracks, and Richard has become one of them. And he must learn to survive in this city of shadows and darkness, monsters and saints, murderers and angels, if he is ever to return to the London that he knew. So this is kind of urban fantasy, I guess, if you had to sort of label it. It's a very interesting story. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of an adventure. It gets really dark in places, and I liked Neverwhere a lot, from what I remember. I read a few years ago though, so sometimes my memory ain't all it's cracked up to be, but I remember liking Neverwhere. Let's see, I have this one. It's called Likely Stories. This is a graphic novel, Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham. It does the artwork. And let me just say the color is done by Chris Blythe, and the letters is done by Nate Picos. This is from Dark Horse. Let me get into it here. I'm not really sure what this is about, if I'm honest. It's a graphic novel anthology that has 4 fantasy stories inside of here. It says the dark and imaginative tales feature an odd and subtly linked world of bizarre venereal diseases, a creepy old woman who feasts on raw meat, a man obsessed with a skin model from a magazine, and a story within a story about ghosts. So these definitely sound super interesting for sure. Let's see. So it's kind of written like this, almost like a comic strip, almost than like typical kind of graphic novel, because it's lined out like that. So here's another here. These definitely sound good. I don't know why it's a graphic novel and read fast, but I haven't read it. Okay, last, not least, I have The Day I Swapped My Dad for 2 Goldfish. And this also has pictures by Dave McKeon. This is more of a sort of picture book. And I'll swap you my dad, I said. Oh, said my little sister, what if you wanted your best friend's 2 goldfish so much that you swap anything for them, even your father? What if your mother came home and found out what you had done? So it sounds really cool, and these have stunning artwork inside. Really stunning. Really, really stunning. I haven't read this yet either, but I haven't. It's so beautiful, though. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. And this one I found at a thrift store. You believe it? Is that it? Did I get everything? Yeah, so that's my Neil Gaiman collection. I like my collection. I, you know, pick up the books here and there when I find them. And I definitely have some more need to get for. I would like to have all of his books. You know, I do. I really love Gaiman. I'm just a Gaiman fan. So let me know. Do you like Neil Gaiman? Or some people I'm sure are not a fan of his work, and that's fine too. We can't all like the same things. How boring would that be? But let me know if have you read Gaiman, or do you have a favorite, or you plan to read? Let me know. I'd love to know. And thanks again for watching. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, friends.